Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. If you enjoy talking about movies and staying up to speed on what's in theaters and what's worth checking out, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a review. Alright, with that, we'll get into today's review, which is for Avatar, The Way of Water. So in this movie, Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with the Neytiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home. So I'm just going to talk to 5 points about the film that stood out to me, and then I will wrap up with just kind of my final thoughts and letter grade on the film. So first thing, I thought the kids were good in the film. Yeah, the kind of setting up the next generation in this world in this story, I thought was well done, and I liked each of the characters. I thought that was one of the main strengths of the film. I liked that it focused a lot more on them and less on their parents and that sort of a thing too. So yeah, I liked that kind of passing of the torch. I mean, obviously the parents are still there, they're present, but they're not the main focus. Second point, I thought the Sea Tribe was interesting enough. I forget their specific name, but yeah, like it was a good way to get some very nice visuals. We'll put it that way. But yeah, it was good. It was good enough. Nothing that completely blew me away, but it was interesting. Yeah, to kind of see their culture and the differences that they had to the other Navi that we had seen. Point number three, I thought the visuals were outstanding. That's what you're gonna get with an Avatar film. That's at least what the first one set, and this one carries that aspect as well, or it carries it with it. So yeah, if you're looking for something that just looks phenomenal, this is a great film for that. I thought the action was just okay. It didn't particularly jump out at me. I do think James Cameron does know how to shoot in 3D. A lot of the action continues to come out of the screen, as he did in the first one. So, if you have a chase sequence, they're not running away from the camera, they're running towards the camera. And I think things like that do make a difference. But other than that, like, other than the good use of 3D, I thought that, yeah, like, none of the action sequences particularly impressed me. Point number four, I thought that the main villain was kind of lame, and I don't see this as a spoiler because it's part of the setup of the film. It's the whole thing. But if you want to be completely blind going in, maybe skip ahead or come back later. But they bring back the main general. They at least bring back his memories and put them into an avatar. So they essentially bring back that villain from the first one, who was the most bland villain you could ever think of, in my opinion. And why they felt motivated to bring his character back was completely beyond me. And as the film continued to play out, it just felt that point felt reiterated in my mind. Like, why did they bring him back? There isn't a, like, so this was one of the parts of the film I didn't like, and it was very hard for me to let that go as the film played out. He really didn't add anything to the film, in my opinion. He's just another, like, villain for the sake of being a villain. And yeah, I'm like, how did you think this was a good enough villain to want to bring him back? I see, bringing back great villains in other franchises, they've done that, but it's because the villain's so good. This villain did not deserve to be brought back. He was not that good. He should have remained in the first one, in my opinion. Um, yeah. So, and then point number five was just kind of inconsistencies, or at least there's a few things that really didn't make sense to me. And when a movie doesn't make sense, it's really hard for me to then enjoy the parts of the film that are enjoyable. So in this one, with the character of Spider, not gonna get into it, it seemed like his story arc and what he did and what he was allowed to do just seemed inconsistent, and it didn't really, Yeah, what we'll go into spoilers for this. I'm like beating around the bush here. Yeah, we'll do this because it's not a huge spoiler though. But spoiler warning at this point for Spider's character. So he gets captured, and at first they keep him, locked up. This is a human who's been living with the Na'vi, and so that makes sense. But then they bring him along, which I guess it makes sense why they would try to get him to help them, but I don't understand why he was helping them and why he thought that any good was going to come from that. Like, they were clearly after his friends, the people that he grew up with, and wanting to hurt them and kill them. But he's like, oh, I'll just help you. And a lot of times it was unprovoked. It was just kind of, he decided to help them, like help the commander guy get his flying beast. I don't know the names of these things, but like he's like, oh, you probably don't want to tranquilize it. You gotta do it the real way. Like, he didn't have to help them. So like, I don't know why he was helping the bad guys. And then as the film played out, I don't know why they trusted him enough to just let him wander around, because he was wreaking all sorts of havoc on that ship in the end because he was just allowed to roam free. So it's things like that progress the plot forward. Like, those are kind of important parts in the film. Like, you wouldn't be able to do a lot of stuff that you would do if the main villain didn't have his winged beast. You wouldn't have as big of a catastrophe in Final Showdown if Spider hadn't been messing stuff up. And like, those are all things that come from like why, like, I just couldn't get my head around that. So those things definitely were, it's really hard for me to turn my brain off to those things, and there were several of those present in this film. But a little bit of a rant and ramble there, but yeah, kind of summing things up kind of give it a letter grade. This one I was between a C and a B, similar to the first one. I put it in the B category because I think if you are looking for something to watch, I think it is worth the watch, even though it's a really long film. If you're not into long films, I don't think it's worth the watch. But the visuals alone, I think, are worth checking out. And but also at the same time, if you're going to see this film, you should probably see it in theaters. Even though I don't think it's good enough to deserve all the money it's gotten. Same thing with the first one. But hey, the numbers don't lie, and that sort of a thing. But the story is better than the first one, in my opinion. The characters are better, but it's still nothing special. It just has so many tropes that we've seen before, and other than taking place on this really beautiful alien planet, there isn't really a whole lot of originality to this film. So that doesn't really impress me. I think that works for a lot of people, but that's why I have this one pretty low. I know some people have this in like their top 10 films of the year, from what I've seen. Great. I'm happy that other people are enjoying this film more than I did, but it was, yeah, it was low B category for me. It just barely got in there, mainly with the assist from the visuals. Like, I do very much appreciate the quality CGI that was going on in this film. But if you've had a chance to see the film, though, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash that like button. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.